That's right. It is a groovy Wednesday. Thank you, the Royal Guardsman from 1967. We are back in Narnia, making some connections to history, learning a little bit about ELA, and having fun. So let's jump on in here. Let's do another quick review. I know we took a little bit of a detour yesterday, but I think it was worth it. So we saw in chapter 9 that Edmund leaves the beaver home without warning so that he can betray his siblings to the White Witch, also known as the Queen of Narnia. And he is obsessed with the idea of getting more Turkish delight. Must have been some really good stuff. And he's also obsessed with becoming the prince, later to be named the king. Yeah, you just keep thinking that, Edmund. But when he reaches the palace, the White Witch is extremely rude. She doesn't welcome him. Then he mentions Aslan, and she goes into total panic and tells the little elf dude to prepare the sledge, or sleigh, the one without the bells. We then learned a new vocabulary word called rationalize, and my definition was as follows. When you know that something is wrong, but you figure out ways to convince yourself that it is right, so you won't feel guilty about doing it. And we see that Edmund has rationalized his own actions and convinced himself that he is doing the right thing. But deep down, he knows he's wrong. So we then made a connection and we looked at a similar situation that truly did happen in American history. And that was the situation of Benedict Arnold. And to make a quick comparison, Edmund is known as a traitor at this point. He has openly betrayed his siblings for personal gain. He is very much stuck on himself, but he also has some frustrations with his siblings, and sometimes he doesn't feel like they have treated him fairly. So Benedict Arnold is not all that different. During the American Revolution of the 1700s, when we fought for independence from Great Britain, he was a famous military leader. He too was often stuck on himself. He too had frustrations with other people, namely the American leaders, his bosses. Sometimes he didn't feel like they had treated him fairly, and he too eventually made a decision to betray his friends and his nation. Then we reviewed the concept that we have covered at length in class, compare and contrast. Compare is when we state how things are the same. Contrast is when we state how things are different. When we compare two things, we use transition words, and a few good examples are in the same way, in like manner, likewise, similarly, and by the same token. These are good examples of how we might use those transition words in proper and complete sentences when comparing. When we contrast, we also use transition words. Some good examples are in contrast, conversely, however, on the other hand, and while. These are good examples of how we might use those transition words in proper and complete sentences when contrasting. This video is about to end, but I have broken the lesson into several short videos instead of one long one. So watch the one posted below this one on the class website and then follow on as the website directs you. You have become familiar with the use of transition words now to compare and contrast. The next video reviews that again and then takes it a step further on how to use those words when writing an essay.